Is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The House Appropriations Committee was quoted in their report as saying, quote, disappointed that an agency dedicated to transparency and accountability was not more forthcoming about how it plans to spend the taxpayer money. It also went on in there to say, quote, in the absence of this fine print, the committee cannot discern what the Consumer Financial Protection Board plans to do, how it will do it, or how much it will cost. Given that your agency is about to open up here in about a week, how do the taxpayers, how do we see what you're going to do and how you're going to do it?
Well, Congressman, we started 5 months before the date that we're supposed to go live, building a website, trying to put as much information out there as possible.
Okay, now
about
on the website, my time is so limited. My apologies.
Sorry.
What I want to get is very specific about the budget that you put forward. In this document, which is just 7 pages, it has just 10 line items. The 2 biggest line items are full-time permanent positions, followed by personnel benefits. That accounts for about $225 million in expenses. Third item is contractual services, which has a very specific number of $48,907,000. Where is the detail about what you're going to do and how you're going to do it? So how do we find the breakdown of that number and how you're going to organize this agency? Because you've obviously gotten some specificity in the numbers. We're looking for the documents, the transparency, and how you're actually going to do that.
So, Congressman, let me try this at 2 levels, and you tell me if this is helpful, and if it's not, I'll try a different way. The first level is to describe, in a big sense, where we will be spending money in the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and if you just think of it like a pie.
I'm worried about the fine print, the details. The Appropriations Committee, this Oversight Committee, we don't have the details of how you're actually going to organize and put this forward. Let me read, for instance, go ahead.
So also, Congressman, and I'm afraid I'm blocking on the name, but every contract issued by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is done, as you would know, through the ordinary competitive process, when appropriate, through procurement.
But in advance of those contracts, for instance, this is directly from the House Appropriations Committee. Unlike other agencies, the Consumer Financial Protection Board does not describe or explain a relationship between its policy objectives and the budgetary resources. Performance measures or goals, significant proposals that affect obligations in the 5 to 10 year period, and their relationship to the current year and budget year, or the budgetary effect of workload, strategic planning, capital planning, or investment in an information technology. How do we get the details of all of this information? You obviously have a top-line number, and that was based on something, but you seem to be hiding the details of how you came up with those numbers.
Congressman, no one's hiding anything. We publish all contracts, and it's not called the Federal Register. There's a special place these are published. But
I'm not talking about the contracts. You have only on your website for consumer. I'm worried about the person who's out, in Albuquerque or in Provo, Utah. How do they find out the makeup of all these numbers and the details? As the Appropriations Committee suggested, they can't see that information. I doubt the public can see it either.
Then they may want to go to www.usaspending.gov. It will list the type of contract, the awardee, and the amount of the contract. They may also want to...
What about all these other items, for instance, not just the contracts, performance measures and goals, budgetary resources, what are these people going to be, where do we find all that information? Because it's not on the website compared to other agencies.
Congressman, we're in the process, for example, of developing our performance metrics. And we are not yet standing up as an agency, but as soon as we are stood up, we are putting as much of this as possible.
So are you saying by next week you're going to have this?
Let me say it this way, Congressman.
You just said you would have it when you stand up, and that's next week. So are you telling me that this will be available next week?
Congressman, I don't want to overpromise because I'm not sure how many things you read. I'm not familiar with the document you're reading from.
You're not familiar with the appropriations report?
Of course, I try to stay up with the appropriations work. I'm not sure what particular paragraphs and lines.
You're going to hand that to you right here. It's the budget justification, which is dramatically different than any other agency moving forward.
I'm sorry, Congressman, is this...
Your document.
This is our document.
Yes.
I think you were reading from something else, sir.
But based on your giving that document to the Appropriations Committee, the Appropriations Committee said, unlike other agencies, and it listed out all the other things that they normally see, that we normally see as members of the Oversight Committee, and all of that is absent.
Congressman,
Point of information. Mr. Chairman, could we get a copy of this document to also look at it so we could understand the questioning?
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll give it.
And could I also ask, is there a request outstanding from the Appropriations Committee that
That's
more-
my understanding,
for more
yes.
information?
Yes, and I think this committee is also asking for that same sort of transparency.
Congressman, if that's the case, we would be glad to come back. We would be glad to brief you. We would be glad to work with you in order to find something that is adequately transparent both to Congress and to the American people.
I have to
Gentleman's
yield
time
back.
is
My time's expired, but I would hope that that information be on the website for the public as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman.
Ms. Norton.